Welcome once again to M5's English language learning program, Let's Speak English. I'm Gav Duncan and I'm here on your TV to help you learn English. Now, are you sitting comfortably? Yes? Good. And are you ready for today's lesson? Yes? Good. Okay, well let's learn English together. And welcome back. Welcome to this afternoon's English session. Come in, come in, come in. We've been waiting for you. And Chobber, the man with the cans, is starting to become impatient. Back, Chobber, back, down. Down, Chobber, down, sir. Quick, he's calmed down a bit. Grab your coffee and sit down. The sooner we get started, the better. Quickly, quickly. Come on, come on! Now, yesterday, before the end of the lesson, we started to talk about the changes which happen when we look at the negative versions of must and have to. And that's where we're going to pick up the threads now. Okay, so do we all remember the changes which occur when we add not to the strong obligation equation? Yes, I'm sure we all do, but just to make sure, let's run through it once again. Essentially, when we add not to the idea of strong obligation, we get two different results. When we add not to must, we get must not. This is logical and simple. Must is strong obligation, and must not is also strong obligation. The only difference between them is the direction. If I must do something, then we all understand that it is necessary. To not do it is the wrong thing to do. My obligation is to do this thing. Okay, now when I mustn't do something, then we all understand that it is necessary for me to not do it. To do it is the wrong thing. My obligation is not to do this thing. Fine. So this is simple and logical. Must and must not, or mustn't, because we all prefer the short form, and these are opposites. The opposite of you must eat your eggs is you mustn't eat your eggs. Simple. Okay, but the strange change comes with have to. Now, for a start, with have to, we have to conjugate the verb. This means that when we add not to have to, we have to use the auxiliary verb do. So, when we want to make the negative version of have to, we use the verb to do, add not, and then finish with have to. Okay, fine, but we also have to remember that we conjugate the verb to do. In the third person singular, do changes to does. And when we want to make a negative sentence using do, then we also have to conjugate the verb. So, when we want to make a sentence using have to with not, we have to use this form. I don't, do not, have to. You don't, do not, have to. He, she, it doesn't, does not, have to. We don't, do not, have to. You don't, do not, have to. They don't, do not, have to. Okay, so it's not very complicated, is it? No. We just have to remember to conjugate the verb correctly and then follow it with have to and an infinitive without to. Simple. Okay, so that's the form we have to use. The strange part is coming up now. When we add not to have to, we don't get the opposite of have to. No, when we add not to have to, we get do not have to or don't have to, which isn't the opposite of have to. If we look at have to, it means the same as must. it's talking about strong obligation. But when we add not, when we change have to into don't or doesn't have to, then we don't get strong obligation, we get no obligation. Odd, huh? Yes, it's pretty odd, but that's what we get. So, don't, doesn't have to means that there is no obligation to do it. It's up to me, or you, or him, or her, or it, or us, or you, or them. There is no obligation to do it, but if you want to do it, then you can. It's your choice. I'm not working tomorrow, so I don't have to get up early. Okay, but it's possible that I will get up early. Maybe I'll have my breakfast earlier than usual. Maybe I'll go for a run or do some exercise. Maybe I'll go down to the Danube and watch the river. Maybe I'll climb up to the top of Gellert Hill and watch the city from the top of the hill. The point is that I don't have to do these things. There's no obligation for me to get up early. If I want to, I can stay in bed for longer. If I want to, I can sleep in. So, when we use not with have to, the result is a bit unusual. Must and the opposite, mustn't, are logical opposites. Have to, which changes into don't or doesn't have to, becomes a different sort of animal. Okay, so we know that we don't get an opposite when we add not. Fine. Now, what happens when we move into the past? What do you think? Well, we should be able to work it out. We know that must has no past form. When we want to talk about strong obligation in the past, we have to use the past tense of which verb? Yes, that's perfectly correct. We have to use the past tense of have to. We have to use had to. When I was at school, I had to do my homework every day, for example. Okay, so we know that when we want to use the idea of strong obligation in the past, we have to use the form of have to, and we have to conjugate this form to fit the past. This means that when we're talking about strong obligation in the past, we know that we have to use the form had to with the infinitive without to. Okay, this is simple enough, and it's even simpler because when we put have to into the past, when we change it from have to had to, we know that we don't have to conjugate anything else. For all the subjects we use had to. We don't have to worry about changing anything from the third person singular, for example. No, it's had to all the way through. I, you, he, she, it, we, you, and they. It's all had to, which makes our lives easier, which is a good thing. Now, let's think about something new. What do we do when we want to talk about the lack of obligation in the past? So, we know that when we talk about obligation in the past, we use have to, and we have to conjugate it. We change it to had to. Okay, but what about the negative version? What about when we're talking about the lack of obligation? Well, how do we talk about the lack of obligation in the present? We use do or does, not have to. We conjugate the verb to do. I do, you do, he, she, it does. We do, you do, and they do. Then we add not, and then follow with have to, and a verb in the infinitive without to. Okay, simple. So, what do we do to move that form into the past? Well, what's the past tense of the verb to do? Did. That's right. So, what do we do? Yes, that's right. We use did, add not, and then add have to, followed by an infinitive without to. Again, it's very simple because we don't need to change anything. All the subjects use did. So I didn't, you didn't, he, she, it didn't, we didn't, you didn't, and they didn't. Then we add have to and follow it with an infinitive without to. Simple. So, let's think of an example. Students in British schools have to wear uniforms. When I was at school, I had to wear a uniform. In my last 2 years of school, I didn't have to wear a uniform. When I was at school, students in their last 2 years of school didn't have to wear a uniform. So, what do we think about those sentences? Oh, damnation. Is that the time? Whoops. We'll have to stop there for the moment. That time has come again. Enid, our very own electric eel. Here she is, ladies and gentlemen. Enid, are you there? Come on down.
What's up, people? Hello, hello, it's me, Enid. I'm back. Now, yesterday I told you that I was going to the doctor's surgery, didn't I? Well, I bet you all remember the trouble I had last time at the doctor when there was an emergency at the hospital and the doctor ran out of his surgery like a gazelle. Well, thankfully, that didn't happen yesterday. Yesterday morning, I made an appointment to see the doctor because I wanted him to give me a checkup. I wanted him to give me a full examination and see if there were any problems with my health. Well, he gave me an ECG. Imagine that! Another acronym. Now, I had to look on the internet to find this one, and it seems that ECG means electrocardiogram. The electro gives us the letter E, the initial word of the word electro. And then we get C and G from the next word, cardiogram. So, in the second word, we get 2 letters from 1 word. This way, we say ECG, not EC. EC is another acronym, but I'll tell you about that one later. Anyway, the doctor performed the ECG on me to check my heart. You can tell it's a heart test by the word cardio. Cardio comes from the Greek word for heart, my dears. And it turns out that my ECG was perfect. I have to go back to the doctor's surgery tomorrow for more tests. But because my ECG was perfect, I've decided to celebrate with cocktails in the Ponzi Peacock. I've booked a table and I'm going there now to meet Rupert and Archibald and Clementina. Keith's at home. No cocktails for Keith. Okay, I'm off. Cocktail hour. Here we come. Toodaloo. Pip pip. Chitty bye.
And she's off. Off for cocktails at the Ponzi Peacock. Well, that's very good news about Enid's ECG, isn't it? I'm not sure that her test results tomorrow will be as good. It depends on how many cocktails they drink tonight, I guess. Okay, well, she's gone, and it's time for us to go too. We'd better get out quickly. Chobba's starting to get restless once again. Quick, everyone out! Turn the lights out and get ready to run. Okay, calm down, Chobba. We'll be finished in a minute, okay? Right, everyone. Thanks for watching. This is M5, and I'm Gav Duncan. All that I have to do now is say goodbye. Goodbye! I'll see you all tomorrow. Same time, same place. See you later. And don't forget, www.m5tv.hu. Bye!